Hello there. It's been some time, hasn't it? Hello. Well, we're back. Finally, after a long delay, we're back to streaming. Long delay, long hiatus. I want to do something real quick here. Just bear with me. Let me just make sure I know where this is. It's somewhere in all my files. Somewhere. Profile? It's probably under profile. Hey Maru, hi! Here it is. Oh, okay. Cool. So we're gonna add this real quick. Properties. Change this to that. Okay, cool. You're not seeing what's happening yet, but you're gonna enjoy it in a second. I think you've seen it, Maru. I posted about this in the Discord. Let's just rename. And for the big reveal, this is one of some announcements that I have here. Where should I put this? Maybe right here? Oh, come on. Sweet. Now let's drag the size. I'm not so sure. It should probably be in front of the game, but I don't want it to block up the game. We'll put it in front for now, just so y'all in chat can see. The game itself isn't that important anyway. Oh, come on. Let me layer this. Layer it. Why is this being dumb? OBS definitely had an update while I was gone, and maybe the update is screwing me over. I can't drag and drop layers the same way I used to. Order. Sure, we'll just move it up. God, this is tedious if this is the only way you can do this now. That's so tedious. Thank you for the follow, Fragile Itsy. And I hope you're not a bot. I'll get into that real quick. But first, let's make this bigger so y'all can see. I have a logo now. I think most of you here have actually seen it. I post about this on Discords and on Twitter. But just so y'all know, I have a logo. Here it is, Haru Hayes, and right there at the top you can see the pronunciation in katakana, Haru Hayes. Yeah, believe it or not, the person I commissioned to make this logo thought it was Haze, and so they said Haru Haze, and I'm like, nope, that is not that's not how you pronounce it. So, but it's fine. It works out. It happens all the time. I'm not too bothered by it. But yeah, my logo. I've got hearts, all in my two favorite colors, and I'm happy about it. So let's move this around. Let's stick it in like the top. Stick it right up here in the top. That'll work. Yeah, that should work. Awesome. Also, let's continue the game. So, yeah, that's probably the way to pronounce it. It's been a while. I have quite a bit I want to catch you all up on. What I've been doing for the past however long before I came back today off my hiatus. So we'll probably talk a little bit about that today. I choose Skyrim because it's just my go-to game. It is also just the game that I I don't really have to focus on all that much, so it's great to just have as a game if you just want to talk about random stuff. Oh, another thing you will notice up at the top here on the screen, I have sub goals. So it used to be a tip goal, and now I changed it to a sub goal. I don't know. I just kind of like the sub goal seems a little bit neater, and it's, I don't know. Doesn't mean I'm not happy to accept tips. I am absolutely happy to accept tips. It's just I want to focus on subs a little bit more. Because the great thing about subs is y'all can use my cute emotes that some of you have probably seen get used. Like, for instance, this one. It's a favorite, but also just, there all of them are. Oh, hello, pirate. So, where we left off, we got a house. Technically not a house, it's land. This is the Hearthfire DLC to Skyrim. I remember there was a necromancer like over here. I can't remember if I fought it. Nope, I didn't. So the necromancer is still down there. But yeah, we picked Lakeview Manor, which is the Hearthfire homestead from Falkreath. We had 3 options. We could have gone Falkreath, Dawnstar, or Morthal. I chose Falkreath. Doesn't mean we're not going to go for the other 2 at another point. The reason I chose Falkreath is I wanted it to be a more centralized house. Probably the most centralized house is this one right around here. Actually, I think it's maybe right around here. That's for Dawnstar. That is personally my favorite house in the entire game, the one around here. But I went for this one because it's just as centralized. Not just as centralized, it's a little bit less centralized. But it's not that far from Riverwood, which isn't that far from Whiterun. So, anyway, with all that, so yeah, we picked Lakeview Manor. It's not the sunniest day, but you can see there's a lake overlook, and yeah, some nice stuff. So we're just gonna build our house here. I feel like there was one other thing I had to bring up regarding house or something. Oh, no, it's the game. Here are the mods I'm playing with. I just tend to show this every single time I stream this game, so might as well do it. Here are the mods that I'm using. I don't go overboard on the mods, I just add a few little touch-ups here and there. So we've got the unofficial patch, because Bethesda couldn't be bothered to fix their game. We've got Pure Waters, which is supposed to make bodies of water, like lakes and rivers and their flows and stuff, look good. I personally don't think it changes much, if anything. You hear in the background right now, there's music playing. That's from the Fantasy Soundtrack Project, because if you're like me and have thousands of hours in this game, and you've heard the soundtrack a million times over, it's nice to add a little bit of variety. This does not replace the soundtrack, it just adds in more stuff. The AI Overhaul will make NPCs run away. If there's a dragon attack, like shopkeepers will not pull out their dagger and try to defend themselves. They'll actually run and hide inside. It also adds a few scripts to the AI to make them have a little bit more of a daily routine. So while all NPCs in the game, in the base game, have programmed routines, like at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., this character will be found at the tavern, something like that. The AI Overhaul adds in just a few more chores throughout the day. You know, they might wander outside. They might wander outside town to make a delivery or something. And then cutting room floor. This one is probably my second favorite after the fantasy soundtrack. It adds in a whole bunch of cut content that was made by Bethesda and was planned to be included in the game, but they decided not to for various reasons, like they didn't have time to polish it or whatever reason. Short time frame. It just adds in a whole bunch of dialogue, and maybe a few miscellaneous quests here and there, and I think it adds in a couple locations too. I do know of one location it adds in, it might also add in more. Nothing too major, it's just tiny little things that Bethesda planned to include, but chose not to in the end. So, let's build our homestead. Also, since I left, I can't remember what my last day streaming was. It was like 2 weeks ago. Since I left, a lot of stuff has changed, hasn't it? Specifically focusing on Twitch. So bots are a big problem, aren't they? I mean, they never weren't a problem, but they've really been picking up speed, haven't they? Because I guess there's like some exploit now in Twitch's code that means if you have the proper know-how and someone like interacts with your profile, you can figure out their IP, which is real just a big no-no. So to all of you in chat, if you see something suspicious, do not click on it. Like, don't even click on usernames or anything. Just don't. I did a little bit before the stream today. I set up a block list, because there's instructions on how to do it that have been going around Twitter, and also posted in a few Discords in the stream advice section, especially in my personal Discord server that I run with my two best friends, Abysmal Curry and Empire Ian. Nura, thank you for the raid. How's your stream, friend? It's good to see you. I'm enjoying being back. Yeah, it's the so yeah, in the stream advice channel on that Discord that we all run together, you can find instructions on how to set up the block list, and here you can see, oh, thank you for the host, Maru. And Keyblade, thank you for the raid. There's the Discord. You can click on that link. It should be still a valid link. And, oh, well, thank you, B Wednesday. D, thank you for the follow. So, yeah, if you go to that Discord, into the I think it's called the Stream Advice channel. You can click on that, and it we have advice on how to set up like block lists and stuff like that. There's also a script involving either ad block or I can't remember the name of the one you recommend, Keyblade, but that's the one I switched to. Both those have ways that you can essentially add a script for a specific filter that will prevent the extensions that these bots are using to exist from being able to be used. I don't know computers or internet or code or anything like that. Basically, just put that in and it does something to prevent the bots. But it does affect all Twitch extensions, which is why it's currently disabled for me, because you block origin. That's it, Keyblade. Yeah, so like I basically added that as a filter, and I think it just basically prevents all Twitch extensions from being usable. And then so basically the reason I have sound alerts still, which is a Twitch extension, and the reason I still have it is because I disabled that filter for the stream. I hope I'm making sense. You also may notice I'm a little bit baked. So, I went all the way across the country to Colorado. Colorado's a pretty cool place. Just like Illinois, they have legalized weed, but they are known for it. It's essentially why people go to Colorado. Okay, so we need 10 nails. So I picked up some edibles, because they're like half as expensive over there as they are here. I still had the edibles that I picked up in Washington State, because those are also extremely cheap. These were even cheaper. And here's a fun little tidbit of when I was going to the dispensary to pick them up. The people that ran... What the fuck am I saying? That specific dispensary that I just randomly Googled was actually medical only. But they kindly pointed me towards their nearest recreational facility, and gave me a business card. And if I give them the business card, they give me, like, I think it's 10% off my purchase. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just stocking up. So I got my usual haul, which is 2 packs of 100 milligrams, 10 pieces inside. That is 20 pieces total, 10 milligrams per piece. That's my usual haul. And those specific ones that I bought one indica, one sativa. Is it sativa or sativa? I can't remember. But I picked up one of each. We rode in a very hot car ride, like, it's the middle of summer. Nah, I am streaming on Indica, friend. So, yeah, like, hot car ride, hot, long amounts of traveling, and leaving them in a suitcase that is sitting in the hot car while we're, out doing things. Both packs, I'm assuming it's both packs, I haven't actually opened up the sativa one. Both packs completely melted. So now it's all chunk of gelatin. And I just nibble on it. Yep, that's it. So that's not the reason I'm high, though. The reason I'm high, and why I will likely still be for a number of my non-collab streams for the next 2 weeks or so, is this. I have way too many edibles on hand for the fact that I am traveling to Japan and will be living and working there starting in early October. Generally speaking, here's the thing about Japan. It is highly illegal to be in possession of or consume any form of weed. So to make sure it's out of my system, because who knows if they're going to drug test me or not when I get there, because I am working for a company that has connections to the federal government. So who knows if they'll drug test me. But just to be sure, I want to stop taking these 6 weeks before I go, just to make sure it's all out of my system by then. So high volume of edibles, not enough time to consume them in. I just figured, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it for all my non-collab streams. I like to be as sober as possible for collab streams, though, just out of courtesy. Unless it's something that I've specifically discussed with the collab person beforehand. Like with Gigi, I've done, I think, 1 or 2 collab stream, 1 or 2 collabs with, and those were ones that we discussed beforehand. Wouldn't it be cool if we did a drunk stream together? So yeah. Hey, Midori! Hi, friend! Okay, we need more nails. Anyway, the point of this all is, I have too much on hand, not enough time to consume it all in, so might as well just do as much as I can, right? So that's what I've been, iron fittings, lock and hinges, nice, so everything but nails. Do we all need only 1 iron fittings? Yes. Then we get animal pen. Apiary is going to require nail. Oh, straw. I don't have straw. We can get that, and sure, why not? Get that too. Hey, we got a house. Alright, let's dump our crap while we explore this new house. We don't need all that clay. That's going to weigh us down. Same with the quarried stone. That can go. Hey, we finally have the outside of our house. It's not even all the outside yet, because, we've got an animal pen there. Right around here is going to be a stable for a horse, and then, right around here could be a carriage, and then there's apiary. We're not done. We've still got a long way to go. But we've got a house. At the very least, we got the frame of a start of a house. Let's go inside and check it out. What was I talking about? I think we pretty much wrapped up the discussion about edibles. Okay, so we've got another chest here. Carpenter's Workbench. Yeah, so most important thing will be a bed. Actually, probably most important thing would be having a steward. Having a steward. Okay, so now this is why you get goat horns, because goat horns are wall sconces, and wall sconces are actual sources of light. Your room will be dark without these. Everything else you don't really necessarily need, it just fills up empty space. Wall sconces are the ones that are important. But we don't have any material. First of all, we needed a shit ton more iron. And second of all, a shit ton more sawn logs. There's a horse. No, that's not a horse. Who are you? What are you? I don't trust you. Oh! Do I have a ward? Wait, what? Now, have any of you ever encountered that specific encounter? Ever? In all of your time playing Skyrim? I'm pretty sure this encounter is added by the cutting room floor, because I have not seen this encounter until I added in the cutting room floor mod. But basically, and to answer your question, Nura, yes, he did. He did just come all the way out here just to cast a few spells at me doing the ward. And now he's going to go back to the tanning rack for some reason. I mean, you do you, friend. So, this is pretty neat. We were going to get more logs. Now, the best way to get logs is to visit a mill. Would you believe? Would you believe that's the best way to get logs? I think it's the only way to get logs. So, I think I've got a yep, buy lumber. That just points you to the nearest lumber mill to where you're living. Now, we could fast travel, but we're not going to. This does get extremely tedious, and at some point I will start fast traveling. But just for the time being, you know, we've only been through Falkreath once. We really haven't had much time to appreciate the beauty of it, you know? Now, this is all for the sake of house building. We will get back to this house. We just can't, because we're all out of logs. And so, yeah, you know. But let's just enjoy Falkreath for a bit. Falkreath is quite pretty. You know, it's forested, kind of mountainous. Kind of reminds me of Colorado. Not exactly. It doesn't really. So, might as well talk to you all about what you've missed with me, what I've missed with you, the reason I had to go on hiatus. First of all, y'all may be familiar with the fact that my grandpa passed away a while ago. so we had the actual funeral about 2 weeks ago now. No, actually, it would have been a week ago. Yeah, I think that's about when it was. But essentially, I had to go to that. And right after was a family vacation my family had planned to do, speaking my immediate family, so that is my parents and my brother. We had a vacation that we had planned to do already, even before the news that, even before he died. It was just something that we were totally planning on doing anyway. I wonder if I could just buy lumber from you. I can! Yeah, fuck it, I'll just buy it from you. Yeah, just anywhere you find a lumber mill in this game, you can just talk to the person who owns it and buy logs from them. Logs are extremely cheap and extremely tedious to get because 20 logs is basically nothing. You need a shit ton of logs. So let's buy... Yeah, and you can't really skip through the dialogue all that much. Let's buy 5 stacks for now, so that'd be 100 lumber. Okay, so I'm also... Okay, that clears the miscellaneous quest too. So yeah, just you only have to go as far as the nearest lumber mill, which is very often going to be just at the nearest town. The nearest town on water, I should say. I don't think there's a lumber mill in Whiterun. There is a lumber mill in Whiterun Hold over at Riverwood. But yeah. Anyway. So yeah, this was a trip we'd planned for a while. Was to go... So my brother, he lives with some roommates out in Colorado. And that's just where he lives now. Like, he doesn't really live at home with me and my parents really at all. So, look at these rays. Oh, the lighting is gorgeous. So yeah, he lives in Colorado. He lives in Boulder, which is basically the east side of the Rockies. We wanted to go into the Rockies for vacation, so we decided on Telluride. I don't know if any of you know where Telluride is. It's a place I had never heard of until we were discussing going there. But Telluride is a ski resort town in the Rocky Mountains, in the San Juan region of the Rocky Mountains, if that means anything to any of you. And it was gorgeous. We, just did a lot of cool stuff there. It was really great. Just nice to be out in nature. Did a lot of hiking. Did get a little bit sunburned. And we also just, traveled to different places. The town had like a free gondola that takes you up the mountainside into the mountain village. So that was pretty cool. We learned a lot about the history of the town. It was a mining town. Ocean Wave, thank you for the follow. Although if that is a bot, don't interact with it. So, yeah, you know, we enjoyed Colorado. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool history. We even took like a four-wheeled Jeep ride up the mountain where we basically saw some old remains of mining like villages. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed learning the history and going up the mountain, and that was all so cool. So that was Telluride. We stayed there for about 3 days. It took a long ass time to get there because we drove all the way from Dayton, Ohio. Yeah, we traveled all that way. And I still need iron. But I should have enough just for what I'm working on. I definitely need a few more nails. Let's do like 3 sets of nails. I don't have any iron. We need to get iron. That means we need to talk to the blacksmith. This blacksmith will start the quest for Barbas. Let's go to Riverwood instead. I know they have a blacksmith and we can buy iron off them. Actually, let's just go all the way. We'll do both. We'll go Riverwood, Whiterun, just to make sure I didn't forget any iron back home there, or if I have any iron I need to smelt. Then back to Riverwood and back home. This is all just an errand for house building. An Ohio City? I did not know that. Oh, it's not called Ohio. Okay. It's called Engagement. Sweet. Very cute. On the long ass car ride back from Colorado, well, we were driving through Nebraska. There was a stop for a city I'd never heard of called Friend. I wanted to take a picture of it, but I wasn't fast enough with my camera by the time I noticed it. But that's cool. That's pretty cool. Oh, we've got a wolf. Oh, come on. There you go. Down. So, yeah. Also, I want to, like... So I'm not a fan of taking... Wait, what? Was that a pun I missed? I'm trying to see. I mean, I guess it could be a pun on dating. Marion. It's Marion. Oh, dating and marrying. An engagement. Oh. I've never heard that one before. I have never heard that one. That's cute. So, anyway. Yep, I see it. Okay. Yeah, cool. Anyway. Thank you, Key. So. Thank you for the posture check, Maru. Oh. Oh, fugitive? Nope. Oh. Do I? Apparently, what? I don't think I've seen that one before either. I will hydrate. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had that encounter. So, he got infected and marked somewhere on my map. It should tell me... Well, I'm not sure where. But it's supposed to be a location that has vampires. So, let's keep headed to Riverwood. It is night. We'll probably have to sleep until morning or something. Yeah, the dude just got attacked by vampires and was looking for a cure. It is good to be back. I really miss streaming. Vampires are really nice. I love all my vampires. So, yeah, it's really good to be back. I really miss streaming. I don't like going on those long hiatuses and stuff, but this was a thing where, you know, family already planned vacation plus, you know, actual family emergency. So I was just like, I guess I can't stream for a while. So it was fine. It was a nice break. I kind of wish it was shorter, but it is what it is. We should now be at Riverwood. Yes, we are. Yeah, I am. I am friends with that person. Okay. So... Oh, bed. We need to sleep. What were we... Do any of you remember if we'd sided with Rayloff or... Hadbar? I can't remember. Well, it wasn't Hadbar. Maybe it was Rayloff. Nope, it wasn't either one. Okay, well, we don't have a home. We're homeless. I mean, we could stay the night at the inn. And this is a pretty cool inn to stay at. Yep. And hello, Lunar Oatmeal. It's good to see you, friend. Yeah, we could stay at the Sleeping Giant Inn, but, honestly, let's just, the night's still young. Let's walk to Whiterun. We'll hit up Riverwood on the way back. Because I do definitely have a house all the way out there. If I wanted to, I could pick up Lydia and have her be my housecarl. No, she is my housecarl. Have her be my steward. I could do that. So... Yeah, you know, I'm not a big fan of taking long breaks. So... I just really like VTubing, and I like streaming, and I like doing all this stuff. It's really, really great. I think it's my calling, personally. It just fits so naturally for me. So I went to... Right. On the long car ride out to Colorado, we were listening to a lot of my mom's podcasts. You know, she has all her podcasts that she listens to, and she just listens to them in the, like, long car rides. You know, they're good auditory entertainment. On one of them, and this was actually like a podcast I'd never heard her listen to before, I'm pretty sure. So I don't really remember what it was all about, but it was a science podcast. My mom's a bit of a science nerd. And one of the it was either the host or a guest speaker on the podcast. Again, because I'd never listened to the podcast before, so I'm not sure who's, like, supposed to be there or not. But this person, she was talking about, essentially, I think it was more of a psychoscience. Maybe it was more of a psychology podcast. But it was like a psychoscience, I think, where the person was talking about daydreaming. So you may be familiar with the concept of daydreaming. You know, it's just where your mind wanders when it's allowed to wander. You know, if you're unwinding after a long day, not really focusing on the TV or your phone in front of you or anything like that, you're just kind of letting your mind wander. That's daydreaming, you know? Just, you're thinking about other stuff, other things, other concepts, maybe other people, other places, whatever. And, your eyes kind of go hazy because you're not really focusing on anything. You're just imagining. You're letting your imagination wander. That's daydreaming. Something interesting that this person brought up, and now that I think about it, it's probably very true. Where your mind goes in those moments of daydreaming is what you want. That is, your mind will go in a daydream, and this is assuming that you have no other, immediate occupations, that are fogging up your brain. So, if you, for instance, have a paper that's due in 24 hours, but you choose to daydream before doing the paper, then that might actually affect what you daydream about. It's not necessarily a thing you want, it's just what your mind is currently worrying about. But when you have nothing occupying your brain and you're not doing a task that is too important to focus on, or a task that requires much focus, your mind will wander, think about things, and usually the things that you are thinking about are what you, as a person, want. And it changes up time to time. Sometimes I'll daydream about, me doing exactly this. Daydream about playing a game and streaming it. Sometimes I think about that. Sometimes you'll think about spending time with a particular person. And it's like, well, apparently that's what I want, is to be around that person right now. Maybe it's a friend, someone closer than a friend, family member, whatever. But, sometimes that will be what you're daydreaming about, is that person. So, yeah, I found one thing that I consistently daydream about, particularly, on long car ride where you don't really have that much entertainment besides podcasts to listen to, however much power is on your Switch, and endlessly scrolling through Twitter and talking to people on Discord. In those moments where you're not doing any of those things, and you could be driving, you could not be driving, because sometimes you daydream while you're driving. It's a little bit dangerous to do, because you should still be focusing on the road, but it does happen. You've been driving for a while, and you're just kind of getting into the rhythm. You got into the rhythm of the car ride and how to drive, so your mind just kind of wanders. In all those moments, I found my mind wandering to VTubing. So apparently, this is what I want. This is what I want in life, is VTubing, to be a VTuber. I enjoy this. It's my thing. Don't take it away from me, Hiatus. It's good to be back. Is the point of that whole thing. It's good to be back, because I knew this is what I wanted to be doing. So, what's all your takes on that? Do you think that's actually the case, where wherever your mind wanders, that is what you want? Do you think it's all a bunch of folly and just daydreaming is something different? Maybe this person didn't know what they were talking about. Whatever. Just, yeah. I wonder what other people think about that. And what's the thing you daydream a lot about? Because I definitely daydream about people. Probably even more than I do about VTubing. And they're like all people that I want to talk to and hang out with. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like it makes a lot of sense that have to do with your subconscious. I love you too, Curry. Aw, it's good to see you, friend. By the way, hello. Aw, I miss you, friend. I'm so happy to see you. We got a shit ton of iron. A shit ton. We physically can't carry all this iron. Aw, thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, that's definitely something I tend to daydream about too. Is essentially if, like actively planning ahead. Um. Yeah. And in that sort of way, it could still really be a want. Like it's you want this thing that you're planning for to happen at the time it's supposed to happen, but you're hoping things go in the specific way that you're thinking of. Like that could totally be what that is. Oh my god, there's so much iron ore. We're getting through this. So while my hand spazzes out and I totally start getting finger cramps and hand cramps because of all this button pressing, yeah, that's other stuff too. Like, I definitely have those kinds of daydreams too, where I'm thinking, oh, what if someone's assaulting me? How do I get out of that situation? Like, yeah, I think about that stuff too. Okay, so here's the plan. We're gonna drop off just enough iron so that we can make it all the way back without being over encumbered, and then we're gonna fast travel. So yeah, I sometimes daydream about that stuff too. And funny thing is, the stuff that you're often thinking of and preparing yourself for in various situations are situations that never happen. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be prepared for the worst. I'm just saying, like, it's funny how much you think about certain situations as being something that could be very likely to happen, and then it's just a thing, it never happens. So, 70. What would this be? 60? 70? Let's just dump like 78. Okay, so that is just enough. We need one more. Cool. I was also gonna sleep, but I don't need to. We're gonna walk all the way back, and then we're gonna fast travel back here, pick up the rusty iron, bring it back. And then we'll hit up Riverwood, buy more iron, and even logs, because we're definitely gonna need more than 5 purchases of 20. Yeah. Anyway, Curry, if you're still here, I love you. I'm happy to see you. So, also, y'all may have noticed, I've added one more redeem. So, yeah, there's another I love you redeem right there. And it's 10 points, extremely cheap. It's not going to be a sound alert. It's just going to be a redeem. And it's just anyone who wants to can one time say, there you go. I love you, Curry, and I love you too, Maru. Yeah, you know, everyone gets it. I'm not about to be... what's... There's, like, a term... What's the thing I'm thinking of? Not quite. That's the term. Classist. I don't want to be too classist and only love the people that have saved up, like, 3,000 channel points. Nah, everyone gets an I love you. But I had noticed that my initial I love you redeem, you know, the I love you 3,000, I did notice that one is a like, it's definitely not been used as much in recent streams. Part of that is probably because people are saving up for the Hi Honey redeem, which is 10k. So, you know, you'll save up all these channel points and you don't want to redeem. Oh, thank you, Valera. It's good to see you here, friend. Yeah, like, you know, people are saving up for the 10k redeem. They're not going to spend all those points they've been saving up on just an I love you from Haru. So 10 points is nothing. 10 points, everyone can just do it. Oh, I love you too, Keyblade. Yep, same D. Same. Yeah, if a VTuber or other streamer that I'm watching has a point redeem that is very high up there, and it's a channel that I watch a lot, I will just immediately start saving for that big final point redeem. Love you too, Nura. So, yeah. Yeah, people will have, like, those insane redeems that are like, end the stream right here, this moment. And it's like, I mean, that's dedication to have saved up that much. You made Kara drink 4 shots the other week? Nice. Yeah, Kara has a whole bunch of fun point redeems. Like, she's pretty cool with doing that. Like, she's got the one where you can change her Twitter handle for a day, and one you can make her tweet something. I like how creative she is with that. I love you too, Valera. Am I heading the right way? No. What? Hang on, what? I'm not sure. I am not sure. Oh, rapping. Yeah, I like your raps, Valera. You know that like that one, I think it's a follower goal rap that you did. Uh the one you sent me as a clip to show off for when you were VTuber of the week. I really like that one. I've gone back and listened to it multiple times. Yeah, I think you're a pretty cool rapper. I like it. Yeah, the affiliate rap, that was it. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Oh, you're making an EP? Ooh, nice. Yeah, honestly, if you're making an EP, I'd buy it. I will totally buy your EP. Um yeah, so yeah, saving up 3 end streams and just absolutely destroying a streamer who's like, "Oh, I'm going to stream like 3 of these streams are going to be really awesome this week." And you're like, "Nope, you're not doing those then." Yeah, I love Skyrim too. Skyrim's my favorite. It's my go-to. It's a game that I can just not think about while I'm playing it and just talk about whatever's on my mind. I think it's the perfect getting done. Yes, it's like the perfect getting done off a hiatus and just talking about all the stuff we need to catch up on, and just enjoying the lack of stuff. It's the first game you ever owned on Steam. I think it was for me too, because I never, yeah, like my first any form of PC at all, like my first computer, was one I bought myself. And yeah, it was one that I bought myself specifically because I'm like, here's what moved me to gaming PCs. It was like the thing with moving to gaming PCs. Well, the reason I wanted to was because of Skyrim. It was because of seeing all these cool mods that people were using, and I'm like, well, I'm on console. I play on the Xbox. So yeah, basically, it was a whole part of me buying Skyrim a second time because I already bought it for the Xbox. And then I'm like, well, I guess I'll buy it again for PC. What the? Oh, that was a bear trap. Yeah, I'm like, well, I guess I'll buy it again for PC. And then the Switch came out, and Skyrim was gonna be on the Switch. And I'm like, oh, it's absolutely yes. I guess I'll buy the Switch too, so I can play Skyrim on the go. I'm telling you, they're as silly as their tactic of let's release Skyrim 5 different times. As silly as it works because it got me to buy Skyrim like 3 times. Anyway, because yeah, I bought it once for Xbox, once for PC, and once for Switch. Now, as for Oblivion, as for your question, Valera, I have played it. I've never finished it, but I have seen. Yeah, no, Todd definitely sold Skyrim to me on a Okay, so here's the thing. Like, because of that, I'm clearly the person that would never have wanted to buy a Samsung smart fridge in my life until I heard you could play Skyrim on it, and then I'm like, I'm buying the smart fridge just for that. I'm that person. But I have not bought a Samsung smart fridge. But yeah, it's okay. So we've made it back home. Now we can do some fast traveling. No, we want to drop it here, right? Maybe I should just do these here. So let's go and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Anyway. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, that's a really cool thing, is how they, how basically Skyrim is not just Skyrim, the base game. Skyrim is Skyrim with all the mods and the modding community. Like, one of the most heavily modded games in the entire world is Skyrim. And so that was a big downside of consoles, is you physically couldn't mod the game, or like you maybe could with some special modding techniques and like a flash drive and stuff like that. But more or less it was pretty close to impossible to mod consoles, and that's why, PC gaming was just superior. But mods have become so popular with Skyrim that, the consoles were like, hell, let's just add mod support. Now, I know Sony was really, really bad about that. Like, I think they delayed. I'm pretty sure Skyrim on the PlayStation does have mod support now, but I think they, delayed it compared to release on Xbox. So that kind of sucked. But now, yeah, all consoles support mods for Skyrim, except for the Switch. Because the Switch actually does not run the special edition. It runs the original, which is fine. The original's fine. It's not as pretty as special edition, but it's fine. And that does not have mod support, which is a little bit sad. Anyway, so what do we need? Well, we can get some barrels and end tables. And some of those. Also, the shelves will sometimes have candles on them, so they're also light sources. Okay, so we got a bit of furnishing. It's not much, but it's something. Alright. It's such a pretty game. Okay, so let's go to... There's the stable. Let's see. Quartz, straw. Oh, yeah, we need straw. That's kind of weird, D. So we need quarried stone and iron fittings. I can get that. There's a quarried stone. Just give me a couple of those. Make some iron fittings. And then here, okay, 3 quarried stone, 6 clay, 2 iron fittings. Okay, so 3. What did this say? 6? Oh yeah, that would do it. Yeah, I do that a lot. When I'm on my phone, I'll have like someone's stream open. Alright, nice. Yeah, I'll have like someone's stream open and I'll be scrolling through like Discord or Twitter or something. It's pretty cool you can do that with the Twitch app. It sucks you can't do that with the YouTube app. So, bed. Well, let's see. This one I can do iron fittings. Okay, so let's get some iron fittings. Yeah, sorry. Valera, you were asking about Oblivion. Oblivion is a game... No, I need iron fittings, not nails. Oblivion is a game that I played quite a bit of. I have not played it as much as Skyrim. And I've actually never finished it. Oh, hello, Gamma. It's good to see you, friend. Let's see. Leather strips and straw, glass and hinge. Quarried stone, iron fittings. Okay, so one of those. Yeah, Oblivion was a game I've not played as much of Skyrim, and heck, I never even finished Oblivion. But that's nothing against Oblivion. Like, Oblivion is a really cool game. I've seen full playthroughs of Oblivion, at least, so I know how the story goes and how the game ends. It's a game I actually want to do on stream at some point. Not here. Nice. There's the fireplace. Getting some nice lighting in here. Ooh, the Monomyth. Now, honestly, we're going to come back and have a discussion about that. We're going to switch the stream over to... I think we're more or less caught up on what I've... You know, what I've done this whole time I was gone and how great it is to be back. We're going to turn into book club, and we're going to talk about the Monomyth. I want to read it with you guys, go in depth, talk about it's such a fascinating book. Why do I... Oh, because companions. Right, I was doing companions. General store. That's why I need general store. So I can get straw and other stuff, yeah. So I'll go to the general store, come back, and then we're going to talk about the Monomyth. We're going to have book club, people. Have any of you read the Monomyth before? Have any of you? I'm specifically talking about the Monomyth in Skyrim. There might... I mean, it also might be a copy and paste from Skyrim to... from, like, Oblivion to Skyrim, if it's in Oblivion. Hi, Sky! So... yeah, it might be a copy and paste. I'm not sure if it is in Oblivion at all. Or Morrowind or any of the other early games. But the thing with the Monomyth, we're just going to talk about when we get back home. Because first I need to read it again to refresh my memory. But it was fascinating. It was a fascinating read. Falkreath is pretty. It looks really nice. It kind of does have that Colorado feel to it. I didn't give enough credit, but it does. Like, I feel like Falkreath could be somewhere in Colorado. Ooh, is this a mercenary? Yes. Cool. Yeah, I don't blame you, D. So, here's the thing, my relationship with books in this game. I used to never read any books. Like, the only books I would read were, well, like, the only books I would interact with are the skill books and spell books and, like, the occasional book that contains a quest. Those were the only books I interacted with up until I played enough about this game and started getting interested enough in the lore to where I to where I'd start playthroughs and essentially tell myself, during this playthrough, I want to read every skill book I come across. Or during this playthrough, I want to read every book I come across. Oh my god, GG! Thank you for the host. Yeah, diaries are, like, those are different. They're quest related. Diaries are things that I do read more often than anything else. Alright, let's go and buy glass and goat horns and straw. Okay, so this is gonna weigh me down a shit ton. I'm gonna have to sell. I need to see if I can disenchant that. I'm like 90% certain I have this enchantment, but I'll save it anyway. Same with that one. Okay, I need to do some disenchanting. What else? Okay, that is not even worth having. Glass boots. No, because remember, I'm heavy armor. We don't need glass boots. Right, we were going to look at the Nordic carved armor too. Alright, see ya, Maru. Have a great day, friend. I love talking to you and interacting with you. You're a very cool person. Let's drop these. We're gonna suffer. We're just gonna suffer together while I drag my very over-encumbered ass back home. However, it's not that bad, actually. I've got potions, don't I? 30. Let's hope this is enough. Yes! Also, of course it was going to be enough because you're giving yourself a temporary 30 points of strength, but you're also giving yourself a permanent 0.5 point of strength because the potion itself weighs 0.5. So we have 300 seconds to get home. Is this the best way to go? Hopefully. It's probably not. Yeah, it's not. We should go through the north side of town. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun book club. Because, yeah, you know, I would be lying. The Real Barons, we might have to read that one too, then. How you doing, hun? How you doing? How you doing, Gigi? Yeah, 5 minutes will be long enough. I'm doing pretty good. I'm very happy to be back. I missed streaming. So, yeah, you know, I have not read every single book in the game. That would be a huge-ass lie. Because the thing is, with those playthroughs, I very often just give up on them partway through. Like, I'll start off with, like, every time I see a book, I will stop and read it. And then it's like I get to a bookshelf and I don't know what to do because there are so many books and it will take me actual real-life hours to finish reading all those books. And I just say, fuck it, and stop. You've learned some things you really wish you didn't know? Ooh. Like what? Oh, with reading through all the books in Skyrim. Oh, who's voicing Knuckles? I'll admit that news I'm not. Oh? Vamp Lord Vesper, thank you for the raid. Hello. Oh, thank you for the follow, D Donster. Hello. Idris Elba? Ooh, I like him. He's got a good voice. Yeah. I'll personally say I'm not that concerned with the news regarding Sonic, because I'm not really that big of a Sonic fan, to be honest. It's nothing against Sonic, it's just that was not my childhood. I don't really have any Sonic nostalgia. But, you know, it's cool that the movie is being made. And yeah, Idris Elba, that's a cool person to voice. Yeah, we're doing some house building. We're just gonna have a bit of a chatting stream. Because, you know, I'm back after a long hiatus. Yeah, I could see that. There's definitely a conversation going on in one of my Discords that I'm a part of right now, about Sonic. Sonic nostalgia, but no Sonic experience. That's interesting. I mean, I guess that's totally a thing that could be. Yeah, I could see how you be that way too. Totally. So we're back. We're back home. We need to do a bit of building. Okay. Ooh, leather strips. How could I forget the leather strips? How are we gonna do bonds? Have a bed. How are we gonna have a bed? I wasn't saying anything. Okay, so what was it we need? Iron fittings? Probably at some point. Ooh, new 5-star. Cool, cool. Yeah, Genshin. So, Genshin I know is extremely popular, and I have played it, and I can kind of get a feel for why it's extremely popular. It's just a game I never have. Like, I didn't have time to get into it, is the thing. I had other stuff to do. I played some of the game, but it's overall. Yeah. The grind. I'll definitely probably play it at some point. So I might fall into that gacha hell again, but for the time being, what did I need? Was it iron fittings? It's probably iron fittings. Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I just recently got myself out of gacha hell. Would you believe? It was the game I was in hell with was Princess Connect Redive. It's a fun game. It's a cute game. Like, I enjoyed it. But I eventually got to the point where, like, all the stuff that I've been hoarding, like the currency to roll for gacha, all that stuff that I had been hoarding, finally run out. And at that point, I was just like, well, I can't get the stuff back fast enough. So I just kind of, yeah, it's just like, gotcha hell. Well, I got to the hell part of the gotcha, which is... Oh, is that right now? I have not opened the app in like a month. Are they really doing the... Shit. Oh, how much money am I willing to spend on... Oh, it's Epic 7. Okay, okay. No, because there's definitely the Precon that does that ReZero collab too. Like, there's Rem and Amelia in that game too. I thought you were talking about... Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I was literally just actually thinking of dropping up to $100 on buying currency so that I could roll for those characters. But if it's not pre-con, I don't care. Oh, you almost got me. Okay, so we don't have the leather strips for the bondage bed, so World Flipper. I have not heard of World Flipper. What's World Flipper? Okay, let's dump goat horns and just all that iron. We don't need it anymore. The nails too. And the straw. The straw is absolutely weighing me down. We need leather strips. We need leather fucking strips. Alright. Wait. Yeah, Girls Frontline. That's another place. I've never been in that realm of gacha hell. Here's another interesting thing. Like, I never was that into gacha games at all. Like, no game that was gacha I really got sucked into. Even the ones that I've tried. Even the ones that I've tried playing before oh, it's pinball gacha. Interesting. Yeah, like even the gacha games I heard people were addicted to and tried myself, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna spend money on this game. Whatever, I don't care. That's how I was with other gacha games. Like, what's the one? What is that one? Yep, that's pretty much it, D. Fire Emblem Heroes. That's the game. Y'all know Fire Emblem Heroes. That was before I played any Fire Emblem games myself. Because I never in my entire life owned a DS. And I never played Fire Emblem on Game Boy. So I'd never touched Fire Emblem in my entire life. But it's like, well, it's cool, anime characters with swords and spears and stuff. So I tried Fire Emblem Heroes because that was the only Fire Emblem game Fire Emblem game I had access to. It was the only one. Because it was on phone and it was free. That's what a gacha game is. Look at this game. It's so pretty. Fire Emblem Heroes was fun enough. It just... yeah, it didn't really engage me. The storyline wasn't even that engaging either. And I didn't feel compelled to roll for gacha because I didn't know who any of these characters are. Like, oh, this 5-star character was his face from this one Fire Emblem game that I've never played. It's like, okay. I mean, he's probably good in combat, like, if I use him. But also, I've never played the game, and therefore I have no nostalgia for where this character comes from. So, I didn't really feel that sort of attachment with Fire Emblem Heroes, so I played it a little bit, but I never got sucked into the gacha portion, and I just kind of stopped playing it in the end anyway. I did try Genshin, but actually I tried Pre-Con before Genshin, and Pre-Con got me... it was the one that sucked me into actual gacha hell. Or they're like, well, if you pre-order, you get all this free stuff, and, yeah, like, when you pre-order, you get all this free stuff, and there's other stuff, too, and I eventually started hoarding enough gems, so I'm like, wahahaha, I will never need to buy gems in my entire life, because I have so many gems, and I just pull every gacha character that I want. Minus, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 3-star characters that I was completely unable to pull in pre-con redive. And then I just got them eventually out of pure and sheer luck. Hello, Ian. Hi, sweetie. Yeah, we got, like, all this pre-con, you know. I had so many gems. I'm like, oh, I'm never going to have to buy money for gacha in my entire life. And then I ran out of gems. I can't remember who I was trying to pull, but I ran out of gems because of a swimsuit 3-star character. And I realized gacha is dumb. So I stopped playing. Yeah. Yeah, it was literally just a swim. Oh wait, no, I need. What time is it? Ooh, we've got time. Because remember, we're here for leather strips. We're here for leather strips so we can make a bondage bed. I mean, what? Yeah, so basically, yeah, it was basically just like I'm rolling for a swimsuit variation of a character I already have. Gotcha is dumb. Oh, you finished your copy edit test. How'd that go? Yep, we're talking about bondage beds, and the reason I brought up bondage is because we need to build a bed for Hearthfire, and all the beds in Hearthfire require leather strips. What could they possibly need 4 leather strips for? It went well. That's really good to hear. I really hope you get that job. Sounds really fantastic. I wish that upon you. So yep, I hate that 2D. They're like, well, we've got the spring swimsuit variation, and then we've got the, you know, there's maybe a Halloween edition or like the winter edition where they're all dressed up as Santa Claus, and it's like, well, you now have to pull the same character 3 different times, and they count as separate pulls. Yeah, I would love that for you too. Good luck. Best of luck to you. Also, I'm very proud of you. All the gotchas you wanted? Yeah, that'd be good. Let's see what we've got disenchanting-wise. Okay, yep, I thought I didn't know that one, so I'm glad I was correct, and that was the only one. So now we've really just got 1 lesser soul gem. Alright. Let's see. So 969. Nice. Look for the most expensive one. It's probably going to be the 969. Okay, Fortify Archery it is. And lesser, so it's not going to be 969, but whatever. Yeah, that's interesting. Also, what am I wearing? Okay, yeah, that's what I want to be wearing. Good. I'm keeping that. I'm keeping the Ring of Smithing. I do not need those robes. Sell this. Sell that. That's useless to me. Then everything else... Honestly, I'll just tell you this. And then we probably got some enchanted weapons that we can sell to the... Oh, they're probably closed by now. So I was talking a lot about gacha. The point is, gacha's dumb, gacha's stupid, I hate gacha. I hate it because it's addictive. I don't even think I got the character I was who was I pulling for? Like, it wasn't even Swimsuit Kariel. Because I remember her event was coming up. The one I was pulling for was right before that. It was Swimsuit... I can't remember her name. It was right after Swimsuit Pecorine. And right before Swimsuit Kariel. And, like, it was just a character in the middle who was relevant to the story. And I basically lost all my gems trying to roll for her, and I never got her. And I just felt extremely like, well, guess I'll die. War Maidens is still open. Are you willing to sell? You are willing to... Aha, you fool. You're open 30 minutes later than you're supposed to be. What? Okay, so Sword of Flames, Sword of Barking. Minor Archery, Destruction. Right, the Carved Armor. I couldn't remember... I think I did stuff with the carved armor, right? So that would go up to 144. My current armor is 127. Okay. I still think the increased heavy armor skill is valuable enough. Okay, but let's look at the boots. 59. No, I don't want that. So 59. I could actually improve them to 68. And these boots... 54. So... it would probably be better to just improve the boots. Like the boots I already have. Because clearly the Nordic carved is not going to be better. Like, it'll be fine enough with the Nordic carved... whatchamacallit? The armor, the main piece that covers your breast and all that stuff. That's probably worth it. But the rest, probably not. And that extra 15 points of armor skill. Don't know if I can justify it. Okay, we're gonna walk back home. Because why not? Chest plate. Yeah, that's essentially it. I I don't know if there's anything else I'm forgetting. I think that's all I need for now. Then we'll have the base of our house done. It won't be completely everything that needs to be done, but it'll be most of it. And then we can have our book club. Talk about the Monomyth. So Monomyth is an actual, like, term that's not specific to the Elder Scrolls. It's an actual term in real life. I believe it essentially means the singular origin. Oh, we've got a dragon. I believe it refers to the singular origin story of creation. So, like, it's the creation myth, basically. It is how things came to be the way they are, as described by this religion. I think that's what the Monomyth means, is the creation myth. So modern, Abrahamic biblical monomyth would therefore be Genesis, because the book of Genesis is where a lot of you may be familiar with, even if you yourself are not part of. We're gonna read the Monomyth here in a minute. I don't think it has to do with Akatosh and Skyrim, though, is the thing. It's less Skyrim specific. It's more about all of Tamriel. We'll see. We will see if Akatosh is included. And I also am not 100% sure if I'm telling the truth here by saying it's like a creation myth. It might not even be a creation myth. But if I am telling the truth, and I am the real Skyrim scholar you all believe I am, the Monomyth is going to be the creation myth, which can relate to the book of Genesis in our world's Abrahamic religions, which, even if you are not yourself a regular practitioner of one of those faiths, you may still be familiar with the story. We've got Footnotes version is God creates Adam and Eve and stuff, and then Eve gets tempted to bite an apple and bites it, and then God gets mad at everyone, and then the rest of all of humanity descends from Adam and Eve. Extremely unlikely that is true, that is in fact exactly how everything came to be, because we've got evidence for it. That's probably it. Story structure shared by a huge number of mythological stories. That sounds about right. Yeah, I think that's a better description. It's not origin story. It's not the creation myth. It is essentially it's like essentially a consolidation of different faiths into what the most sensible, commonplace. It's essentially like the What's the term I'm looking for here? Not modernization. It's consolidation. Not consolidation. It's though that's closer. What the fuck is that? Oh! 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 We're gonna die. We are gonna die. Yeah, it's not what I'm thinking of here. Joseph Campbell, that sounds right. I don't know. You probably know more than I do, Key. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die! Oh, okay. That sounds about right. I do remember hearing that Monomyth is like an actual thing IRL and not just something the game made up. I just wasn't sure exactly what that is. Okay, which one? You're the one with the low health. Kill you. Okay, you're dead. And be sure to check out and support our VTubers of the week. Aya and Mocha. Could be. Yeah. I love being friends with a whole bunch of nerds. It's great. I mean, I'm a nerd myself on certain topics, but it's just awesome if you're just like, oh, there's a random fact I want to find out about and learn more stuff about. I could use Google, or I could just ask my friend, who's a huge, massive nerd about random stuff. It's awesome. Also, just like people that are intellectual are fucking hot. Okay, we took care of them. Aha, Joseph Campbell right next to you. Nice. One second. Speaking of books, they're nearby. Let me see my bookshelf. Maybe it's the bookshelf behind me? It's definitely not over there. Yeah, it's definitely behind me, but I cannot... I'm too lazy to get up and check. Basically, though... Ooh. Poltergeist, thank you for the follow. The raid, I mean. Thank you for the raid. Yeah, I can't... I'm too lazy to look for it right now, but there's a book that I used in my... Thank you for the follow, bear with me. That's a good pun. Yeah, there was a scholar. Essentially, I got this book for one very specific reason, and it was because I needed to, in order to solidify my argument for my senior thesis, I basically needed a source to back up my claim that various cultures in different parts of the world value subtext a lot more than others do. And that specifically is the discussion of high context versus low context culture, I think it is. I cannot remember the name of the person, but he was a sociologist, I think. Oh, that's really sweet, Key. Yeah, it's a cool thing. The reason I didn't use the interlibrary loan was because I fucking didn't know how to do that. Okay, I never bothered to learn how to check interlibrary loans, how to figure those things out. It was always more convenient for me to just find find the book really cheap somewhere. Yeah, no, like I definitely know that's a thing I could have done with my school library, but it's also here's another reason why I never used it. It was also because like way too often I would know what source I needed, not without enough time to actually check the source out at the library, because there's a very high likelihood that they will not have it on hand and they'll have to bring it in from another library, and I didn't know if I had the time for it, so I used Amazon Prime shipping on a lot of my stuff. I know, Jeff Bezos sucks and fuck Amazon, but it's also extremely convenient. So, yeah. You had 10 interlibrary loan books for your independent research. That's cool. I don't know overall how many sources I used, but I used a fuck ton of sources. And I still have on hand, I think about 10. You can extend the dude, not with IS. Nope. Can't. That's not a thing. Oh, for books. Yeah, that makes sense. No, like not for the paper itself. Oh, I see. You're replying to Keyblade. Okay. Yeah, no, you can definitely, like, it's definitely convenient and worth using. I was just too lazy to learn how the system worked, even though they had mandatory sessions where they teach you how the system works. I didn't take notes. I'm sorry. I don't know how to use ILL. Yeah, no, I think I've got about 10 or 15 books on hand. The point was, the books that I even did by myself were really cheap. Anyway, speaking of books, we're going to have a book club here in a minute. We're going to draw Carpenter's Workbench. We still need nails and straw. I think it was like 2 nails and 2 straw. No? Oh, we got a letter from a friend. One time you had to do it to get your professor's own book because the university... Oh. That's a rip. Okay, so letter from a friend. That's in books. Is this one I haven't read? No, I've probably read that one. Yeah, he should be upset. Oh, I caused a bit of a stir at my own house. Great. Um, Ironbind Barrow. Interesting. Ironbind Barrow. What? That name is not terribly familiar to me. Actually, it will tell me. Oh. I'm not terribly familiar with that place. I might be extremely familiar with it. The name itself, though, is not... Like, it's a significant enough... Oh! Who invited you inside? Leave. We're gonna have a book club, and you're not invited. Okay. Finally craft the doubled bed. Nice. Not sure where the straps are. I would imagine the straps would be on the bedpost for fun adult times. But, you know, it is what it is. We're here. We've done it. Let's just check outside real quick for, Workbench. Okay, still need nails and 2 straw. Okay, there we go. Apiary. I don't need the apiary for any reason, except it's still a very useful tool. Is it just a like courtesy thing that if you go to someone's house you have to start tanning? Is that like some sort of social norm I was never taught? Or like reverse, like it is my courtesy to him to let him use my tanning rack if he wants, because he made conversation with me at my house. I'm very confused. Just people really like to use the tanning rack right outside my house. So here's the thing about the apiary. These ingredients, I can't remember what uses they have, but they are useful and not all that common. It is possible his AI bugged out. It's also possible this is something that my AI Overhaul mod is causing happen. Or it's just Skyrim being Skyrim. Because I don't know everything the AI Overhaul does. But I think we've had enough delays. Yeah, bees are very cute. I have a favorite bee. She was here earlier. Okay. Finally. We're ready to start our book club. I'm going to take a bit of a drink, and then we're going to read through the Monomyth, because it's a fascinating read. And maybe I will finally find out what Monomyth actually means. The Monomyth. In Mundus, conflict and disparity are what bring change, and change is the most sacred of the elven forces. Change is the force without focus on origin. Without focus or origin. What? Change is the force without focus or origin. Oganthir Tehirate, Order of the Sige. Okay. Simply put, the schism in the human Aldmeri worldview is the mortal's relationship to the divine. So, right, we all know that there's a huge split between how humans, especially Nords, see their origin and religion in general, and the elves. Like, that's a huge thing in all the history of the Elder Scrolls, is this ongoing culture war between the elves and the humans. It's not just a culture war, it's an actual war. But there's not always fighting. Humans take the humble path that they were created by the immortal forces, while the Aldmer claim descent from them. It doesn't seem like much, but it is a distinction that colors the rest of their diverging mythologies. So essentially, the argument the author is making here is the cusp of all the differences between human mythology and Aldmer mythology is that humans believe that they were, created. And the Aldmer claim that they were born from creators. It's a very specific distinction. The idea that you're just someone that was popped into being versus someone who has direct bloodline connection to the creators of the universe, that's a big distinction. All Tamrielic religions begin the same. Man or Mer, things begin with the dualism of Anu and his other. These twin forces go by many names. Anu Padme, Anuiel Sithis, Ak-El, Satak Akel, is not. Anuiel is the everlasting ineffable light. Sithis is a corrupting, inexpressible action. In the middle is the gray maybe, Nern. In the... what the fuck is that? Elnofex. Elnofe. Something like that. So, essentially, we know the difference between, creation ideology between the Mer and Man. Mer believed they were born, Man believed they were created. But here's a similarity between all their religions. Everyone can agree on the yin and yang. That's what Anu and Padme essentially are. One is a being of everlasting ineffable light, and the other is a being of corrupting inexpressible action. These two things that contradict each other, neither can exist without the other. Everlasting light, everlasting darkness, chaos and order. It's two very different, complementary concepts that manifest themselves in a form that is believed in and given a name, like Anu and Padme, or Anuiel and Sithis. Some of you may recognize Sithis. That's because the Dark Brotherhood worships Sithis. Sithis is essentially one of the two most significant beings, the other one being Anuiel, in the entirety of Elder Scrolls lore. Everything descends from either Sithis or Anuiel. So that's why you all recognize Sithis and why the Dark Brotherhood worships Sithis, because they're essentially they send people back to the void from whence they came. Which the void is Sithis. It's not Sithis' void. It's... you go back to Sithis. In most cultures, Anuiel is honored for his part of the interplay that created the world. But Sithis is held in highest esteem because he's the one that causes the reaction. Sithis is thus the original creator, an entity who intrinsically causes change without design. Even the Hist acknowledge this being. So, essentially, what people are saying is, or what this monomyth is saying, is that Anuiel is being, kind of. It's the presence before everything else. And then Sithis comes along and creates chaos. And that chaos is an action that leads to the reaction of everything being created. So everything exists because of Sithis. That's not saying that he is the one that created everything. He's the one that set off the reaction. Also, Sithis can use any pronoun. He, him, she, her, they, them, it, its. Sithis is non-binary solidarity. More realistically, it is that Sithis is an eternal, ephemeral being that just exists outside of mere human or mer ability to comprehend, and just assigning a singular individual gender to Sithis is, like, impossible. But anyway, yeah, Sithis is the original creator, an entity who intrinsically causes change without design. Even the Hist, which is another very important character. The Hist itself is similar to Anuiel and Sithis in that it's not a singular entity, but it is. But it's not, but it is. You get what I'm saying? It's complicated. But basically, the Hist itself acknowledges the existence of Sithis. Therefore, Sithis is basically existent in all faiths, in all of the Elder Scrolls. Anuiel is also perceived of as order, opposed to the Sithis, chaos. Perhaps it is easier for mortals to envision change than perfect stasis. For often Anuiel is relegated to the mythic background of Sithis' fancies. In Yokudan folktales, which are among the most vivid in the world, Satak is only referred to a handful of times as the Hum. He is a force so prevalent as to be not really there at all. So, what does this mean? So Anuiel is order to Sithis' chaos, but here's the thing, it's much easier to imagine change than infinite stasis. We are beings of chaos, of chaotic nature. If everything is the same, we go insane. And if everything is the same, something is wrong and has to change. We can't live in existent permanent stasis. We are always expecting change. We're always creating it. Change is something that we're used to. We're not used to stasis. Heck, I don't even think our brains can really fully comprehend stasis. Which is why we relate a lot of ourselves to Sithis rather than Inuiel. Is because... think of it like a book. Inuiel is the pages of the book. Sithis are the words on that book. The book couldn't exist without the pages, but the words are what makes the book unique. So that's kind of what it's saying here is he is a force so prevalent as to not really be there at all. You're not paying attention to the pages of the book. You're paying attention to the words on the pages. Something to think about. In any case, from these two beings spring the E'ata, or original spirits. To humans, these E'ata are the gods and demons. To the Aldmer, the Aedra and Daedra, or the ancestors. All of Tamrielic pantheons fill their roster from these E'ata, though divine membership often differs from culture to culture. Like Anu and Padme, though, every one of these pantheons contains the archetypes of the dragon god and the missing god. So we're going to learn about the dragon god and missing god pretty soon. What this is saying is from Sithis and Inuiel, or Anu and Padme, from these two opposing beings, from yin and yang, come the E'ata, which are essentially gods. They're not all treated as gods in the pantheon. Some are not, like for instance, the Daedra are not so much seen as gods as they're seen as, like, evil beings in certain cultures. And which of the E'ata are split up into good and evil are kind of dependent on the culture. Some aren't even included. Like, you'll never find Talos. You'll never find Talos in the Aldmer pantheon, because he's not a god. Similarly, you'll have other stuff like I think the Khajiit have quite a number of different things. They'll have different gods in their pantheon, and even give them different names, but they are still the same entities, just being worshipped in a slightly different way. That's why the first darkness subclass in Destiny is called Stasis. In fact, it's a denial of the light, in that the light is a force rapid, perfectly unpredictable change, while Stasis is a total denial of change, unstoppable even by casualty. Fascinating. Hell yeah, video game lore nerds unite. Anyway, I think I've got the point here. Basically, from Anu and Padme come all these different immortal entities that get turned into gods and Aedra and demons and Daedra, and they kind of get divided up from different cultures, but they're all acknowledged and recognized by these cultures. And two of these beings, the dragon god and the missing god, are concepts that, like Anu and Padme, exist in every other culture, in every other religion of the Elder Scrolls. So who is the dragon god and the missing god? The dragon god is always related to time, and is universally referred to as the first god. He is often called Akatosh, you all may be familiar with him, whose perch from eternity allowed the day. He is the central god of the Cyrodiilic Empire. Akatosh, the dragon god, the first god, the god of time. He's the first being to come from Anu and Padme. The missing god is always related to the mortal plane, so Nirn, and is a key figure in the human Aldmeri schism. The missing refers to either his palpable absence from the pantheon, another mental distress that is always interpreted a variety of ways, or the removal of his divine spark by the other immortals. He is often called Lorkhan, and his epitaphs are many, equally damnable and devout. So, just as every culture has its own Akatosh, every culture also has its own Lorkhan. So, if any of you have played Morrowind, I haven't played it myself, but I've seen playthroughs. The ultimate goal of the game is to, like, destroy the heart of Lorkhan or something like that, which physically is beating in Red Mountain. Essentially, it's the heart of a god. One of the two great gods in all existence that everyone in the entirety of the Elder Scrolls universe agree exists. That is Akatosh and Lorkhan. Lorkhan is kind of the Lucifer role here. He's the fallen angel. Yeah, so calling him the missing god is essentially, there's a spot for him on the pantheon, but he was actively rejected from the pantheon. So, like, it's like he's supposed to be there, but he's not allowed to be there. Kind of the inverse of Talos, depending on what perspective you look at. He is not supposed to be on the pantheon, but he's allowed to be there for various reasons. Lorkhan is a god that was rejected by the other gods, and we'll hopefully find out why. Note that Tamriel and the mortal plane do not exist yet. So this was before, like, Tamriel and Nirn, like, even existed. This was just Oblivion. The Grey Maybe is still the playground of the original spirits. Some are bound to Anu's light, others to the unknowable void. Their constant flux and interplay increase their number, and their personalities take long to congeal. When Akatosh forms, time begins, and it becomes easier for some spirits to realize themselves as beings with a past and a future. The strongest of the recognizable spirits crystallize. Mephala, Arche, Yifri, Magnus, Kuptka, etc., etc. Others remain as concepts, ideas, or emotions. One of the strongest of these, a barely formed urge that the others call Lorkhan. details a plane to create Mundus, the mortal plane. So, in Oblivion, which is just everything, Anu and Padme give birth to all these gods. Akatosh is the first god to fully develop a personality, and once his personality is fully developed, there we go, all of time exists now. We didn't have a concept of time before him, but now we do have a concept of time. Thank you, Akatosh. Then all the other spirits eventually become various entities that are recognized across various cultures, like Arkay, Mephala, Y'ffre, Magnus, and Kuptka, and all the others. You may recognize some or most or all of those names. Lorkhan is still really just a concept. He's not really an entity. And Lorkhan was the one that came up with the idea to create Mundus. He's the one that orchestrated the entire creation of what we perceive as the mortal plane. Humans, with the exception of the Red Guards, and that's a really fun thing to get into, see this act as a divine mercy, an enlightenment whereby lesser creatures can reach immortality. Let me read that again. Humans, with the exception of the Red Guards, see this act, the creation of the mortal plane, as a divine mercy, an enlightenment whereby lesser creatures can reach immortality. Aldmer, with the exception of the Dark Elves, see this act as a cruel deception, a trick that sundered their connection to the spirit plane. So what this is saying is, like, everyone agrees that Lorkhan was the creator of Mundus. What they can't agree on is, was it a good thing or was there ill intention? Was the creation of the mortal plane an attempt to sever the descendants of the Aedra and Daedra? Or actually, I guess it was just the Aedra. Is it an attempt to sever descendants of the Aedra from the rest of Oblivion so that the Daedra can have free realm there all by themselves? Or was it a good thing to create the mortal plane as a way that all lesser creatures can have some form of immortality? Who knows? The Myth of Arbus, subtitled The Psijic Compensation, Mythic Arubis was an attempt by Artaeum apologists to explain the basis of Aldmeria religion to Uriel V in the early glorious part of his reign. It quietly avoided any blame or bias against the Lorkhan concept, which was still held in esteem by the Cyrodiils as Shizar, the missing sibling of the divines. Despite this, the Psijiki still give a nice summary of the Elder View, and it will serve our purposes here. This version comes from the archives of the Imperial Seminary from the handwritten notes of an unknown scribe. So I was not listening for the first half of this, so let me just skim it again real quick. So subtitled The Psijic Compensation, that's what the Myth of Arubis is subtitled. Oh, okay. So, Artaeum apologists the Isle of Artaeum is where the High Elves come from. All right, have rest well, D. Thank you for stopping by. So yeah, the Isle of Artaeum is where the High Elves come from. So these are people that basically support the High Elf ideology. Or I guess this was even before High Elves. This was Aldmer, the, like, original elves. So yes, basically people that support that ideology wanted to explain to Uriel, who was an emperor of the humans. Sure thing, Key. Thanks for the raid. Have a great rest of your day. So yeah, we've got Uriel, who was a human. Essentially, I'm dragging this out. Basically, it's the elven explanation to the humans of elven ideology. It avoided any blame or bias against Lorkhan. Because the humans still held Lorkhan in high esteem, whereas the elves were like, fuck that guy. They also call him Shezar, which connects him to the Shezarine. If you're familiar with the term Nerevarine, that is an avatar of the being called Nerevar, who was a god. The Nerevarine is the character that you play as in Morrowind. He is, or she, is the, like, whatever gender you choose to play as for that character. They are the mortal manifestation of the avatar of the god Nerevar. That's what the Shezarine is to Shezar or Lorkhan or Shore. Shore is Lorkhan. And the Dragonborn, due to various evidence from online people, okay, something's right now bothering me. Has the entire game, have any of you been able to hear game audio? Because I'm just now realizing you probably haven't. Wow. Wow, 2 hours and 40 minutes and no game audio. Why? Oh no, I don't want to change the input. I want to change the output. Wow. So that's dumb. Why is that the case? Audio output. Okay, properties. Let's change it to this. Now you should be able to hear. God. There was nothing important in the game. It was all just what have you. Here's my soulless expression for you, D Donster. God. There's no important audio. It was just game in the background. Why did no one tell me? So. The point I'm getting to is that due to various fan theories and lore reasons, it's entirely possible that you are playing as the manifestation of Shor when you're the Dragonborn in this game. But that's a different topic. It's all good. It is all good. So this is what Mythic Arubis is, or Arbis, Mythic Arbis. Mythic Arbis exists, and has existed from time without measure, as a fanciful, unnatural realm. Arbis is used to connote the imperceptible penumbra, the gray center between the is not of Anu and Padome. It contains the multitude realms of Aetherius and Oblivion, as well as others, less structured forms. The magical beings of Mythic Arbis live for a long time and have complex narrative lives, creating the patterns of myth. So what's the best way to describe Mythic Arbis? Think of it as a snow globe. And everything inside the snow globe represents a different realm of Oblivion. Or Nirn. Or Nirn is Oblivion, who knows? Each one of those represents a different realm of Oblivion, and everything encompassing it is Mythic Arbis. Everything from Mythic Arbis is, well, not that. It's that Aedra and Daedra are all beings from the Mythic Arbis. So these are spirits made from the bits of the immortal polarity. The first of these was Akatosh the Time Dragon, whose formation made it easier for other spirits to structure themselves, because time makes it easier to be structured. Gods and demons form and reform and procreate, so they had babies. Finally, the magical beings of Mythic Arbis told the ultimate story, that of their own death. Because these are immortals. Or rather, nothing has died in all of existence yet. Also, I can turn off that expression now. Nothing has died in all of existence yet. For some, this was an artistic transfiguration into the concrete, non-magical substance of the world. For others, this was a war in which all were slain, their bodies becoming the substance of the world. For yet others, this was a romantic marriage and parenthood, with the parent spirits naturally having to die and give way to the succeeding mortal races. So essentially, they all knew they would have to die at some point. Or rather, they decided they would all have to die at some point to essentially become the compost of the universe. Like the rest of the universe will sprout from them. The agent of this communal decision was Lorkhan, whom most early myths vilify as a trickster or deceiver. More sympathetic versions of this story point out Lorkhan as being the reason the mortal plane exists at all. So Lorkhan is kind of the Lucifer of the story. He's a trickster. He's kind of tricking these gods or angels. I love you too, Dee Dee Donster. I love you too. So yeah, he's like the fallen angel of the story, the one who tricks everyone. But he's also seen as the creator of the mortal plane. The magical beings created the races of the mortal Arbus in their own image, either consciously as artists and craftsmen, or as the fecund rotting matter out of which the mortals sprung forth, or in a variety of other analogical senses. Basically, no one can fully agree as to why or how mortals came to exist. But they did. And it was because of the magical beings that lived in the mythic Arbus. Now, yeah, they either made them of their own image consciously, or any other means of which mortals were created in their image. The magical beings, then having died, became the Etata. The Etata are things perceived and revered by the mortals as gods, spirits, or geniuses of Arbus. Why do I keep saying Arbus? Or geniuses of Arbus. Through their deaths, these magical beings separated themselves in nature from the other magical beings of the unnatural realms. So, basically the magical beings, which were just the original conscious presences, had to die. And they did die, whether they were, they were tricked by Lorkhan to die. And they became the Etata. The Etata are essentially the pantheon that we're all familiar with. We've got Akatosh and all the others. The Daedra were created at this time also, being spirits and gods more attuned to oblivion, or that realm closer to the void of Padme. This act is the dawn of the mythic, or merithic, era. It has been perceived by the earliest mortals many different ways, either as a joyous second creation, or, especially by the elves, as a painful fracturing from the divine. The originator of the event is always Lorkhan. So, yeah, the mythic era, the merithic era, essentially the first era recorded in Elder Scrolls lore, was started with the creation of the Daedra and their beings that were more in tune to oblivion and closer tied to Padme. Whereas the elves, who very much see themselves as descendants of Aedra, find themselves more closely tied to Anu and much more despise Lorkhan, because they felt it, the creation of Nirn, as a way to tear them away from their creators. Whereas humans were just like, oh, without this realm we wouldn't exist, so thank you, Lorkhan. That's what the humans think. So who is Lorkhan? This creator, trickster, tester deity is an every Tamrielic mythic tradition. His most popular name is the Aldmeri Lorkhan, or Doomdrum. He convinced or contrived the original spirits to bring about the creation of the mortal plane, upsetting the status quo much like his father Padme had introduced instability into the universe in the beginning place. After the world is materialized, Lorkhan is separated from his divine center, sometimes involuntarily, and wanders the creation of the Atata. Interpretations of these events differ widely by culture. Below are some of the better known, and we'll get into those. Essentially, Lorkhan has got many different names. He's the one that convinced the original spirits to create the mortal plane by sacrificing themselves. He upset the status quo, much like his father Padme did, and introduced stability into the mortal plane, just as much as Padme introduced stability into all of existence. After the world was materialized, Lorkhan, essentially, his divine spark was taken from him. He is no longer allowed to be a god. Whether it's involuntary or not depends on who you ask. And he wanders the creation of the Atata. He lives on Nirn. That's where Lorkhan is, on Nirn. And interpretations of the events differ widely. So, Yakuden. Satakal, the World Skin. Satak was the first serpent, the snake who came before, and all the worlds to come rested in the glimmer of its scales. But it was so big there was nothing but, and thus it was coiled around and around itself, and the worlds to come slid across each other, but none had room to breathe or even be. And so the worlds called to something to save them, to let them out. But of course there was nothing outside the first serpent, so aid had to come from inside it. This was Akel, the hungry stomach. Akel made itself known, and Satak could only think about what it was, and it was the best hunger, so it ate and ate. Soon there was enough room to live in the worlds, and things began. These things were new, and they often made mistakes, for there was hardly time to practice being things before. So most things ended quickly, or were not good, or gave up on themselves. Some things were about to start, but they were eaten up as Satak got to that part of its body. This was a very violent time. So this is the idea that essentially all of existence is a giant-ass snake, and it was kind of coiled up on top of itself, and there was nothing but the snake. And because the snake was everything, nothing could exist until all of existence kind of cried out for help. And Akel, who is Sithis, I'm pretty sure this is the connection. Akel, who is Sithis, became hunger and caused the snake to start to destroy itself, giving enough room in existence for other things to exist besides the snake. Pretty soon, Akel caused Satak to bite its own heart, and that was the end. The hunger, though, refused to stop, even in death, and so the first serpent shed its skin to begin anew. As the old world died, Satakal began. And when things realized this pattern, so did they realize what their part in it was. They began to take names, like Ruptka or Tuaka, and they strode about looking for their kin. As Satakal ate itself over and over, the strongest spirits learned to bypass the cycle by moving at strange angles. They called this process the walk-around, or the walkabout, a way of striding between the world skins. Ruptka was so big that he was able to place the stars in the sky so that weaker spirits might find their way easily. This practice became so easy for the spirits that it became a place called the Far Shores, a time of waiting until the next skin. So this myth is from Yakutan legend, which, if you don't know, Yakutans think Redguard. So because Akel, essentially, Satak the snake was continuously forced to kill itself due to the hunger, and but because it was an immortal snake, it would only shed its skin, and then the whole process would start over again. This was all of existence, by the way. So all of existence is kind of being cast off once it's done, and then popping up again in another space. And so the ability to jump between an old shedded skin world over to the current snake world, or between different skins, or that was something that the gods could do. That was Ruptka and Tuaka and all those. They were the ones that could do the walkabout, jump from skin to skin. And Ruptka was the one that put the stars in the sky so that others could essentially see the way to do the walk around, or the walkabout, so that they could do the walkabout. And it became so easy that it became a place called the Far Shores. Ruptka was able to sire many children through the cycles, and so he became known as the Tall Papa. He continued to place stars to map out the void for others, but after so many cycles, there were almost too many spirits to help out. He made himself a helper from the detritus of past skins, and this was Sep, or Second Serpent. Sep had much of the hungry stomach still left in him, multiple hungers from multiple skins. He was so hungry he could not think straight. Sometimes he would just eat... No, I wasn't done. Sometimes he would just eat the spirits he was supposed to help, but Tall Papa would always reach in and take them back out. Finally tired of helping Tall Papa, Sep went and gathered the rest of the old skins and balled them up, tricking spirits to help him, promising them this was how you reached the new world, by making one out of the old. These spirits loved this way of living, as it was easier. No more jumping from place to place. Many spirits joined in, believing this was good thinking. Tall Papa just shook his head. Alright, so here we can see connections. So this Tall Papa, Ruptka, was he's essentially the Akatosh. He's the father of things, whereas the snake itself is Anu. And then we've got Sep, who is effectively Lorkhan, who comes from Padme. So Sep is like... Yeah, he's the second serpent. He was created with good intention, but in the end, he still caused some issues. So, you know, he was a troublemaker. So Sep created this new realm by gathering up and balling up all the old dead skins and said, "Hey, look, people, this is a fun place. You should hang out there." It's also a lot easier to just hang out in this giant ball of skins than just hop from one to the other all of the rest of eternity. Just stay there. And all the other spirits were like, "Ooh, that sounds nice, not having to jump from place to place. Hell yeah. Sign me up." Ruptka was just like, "Oh, you fucking idiots. Don't fall for this." And then Sep was just like, "Snicker, snicker. You fell for my trap." Pretty soon, the spirits on the skin ball started to die because they were very far from the real world of Satakal. And they found that it was far too far to jump into the far shores now. The spirits that were left pleaded with Tall Papa to take them back, but Grim Ruptka would not, and he told the spirits that they must learn new ways to follow the stars to the far shores now. If they could not, then they must live on through their children, which was not the same as before. Sep, however, needed more punishment, and so Tall Papa squashed the snake with the big stick. The hunger fell out of Sep's dead mouth, and was the only thing left of the second serpent. While the rest of the New World was allowed to strive back to godhood, Sep could only slink around in a dead skin, or swim about in the sky, a hungry void that jealously tried to eat the stars. So all the spirits that were tricked into this ball skin couldn't leave, because it turns out the ball skin is too far away from the stars. And while it's not impossible to get into the far shores without using the stars, it's pretty damn difficult. It's like taking training wheels off of something you've always had training wheels for. I mean, it's not even that. It's just like you were training to do things this one specific way, and now you don't have the tool needed to do it that one specific way. So while you can still learn how to do it, it's going to be difficult. So all these spirits were basically stuck on Nirn, had to learn how to be mortals. And Lorkhan, or Satakal, no, not Satakal, Sep, got extra punishment. He was killed, murdered. What was left of him was the stomach, who's now roaming about, trying to jealously eat the stars. So there you have it. And story time is fun. Okay. Now, Cyrodiilic, Shezer's song. This was a new thing that Shezer described to the gods, becoming mothers and fathers, being responsible and making great sacrifices with no guarantee of success. But Shezer spoke beautifully to them and moved them beyond mystery and tears. Thus the Aedra gave free birth to the world, the beasts and the beings making these things from parts of themselves. This free birth was very painful, and afterwards the Aedra were no longer young and strong and powerful, as they had been from the beginning of days. What the fuck did I just read? I wasn't paying any attention. Did any of you hear that? So... essentially, like, Shezzer told the gods that they could be mothers and fathers and that it was responsible to do so and to make sacrifice with no guarantee of success. But he was able to convince them in the end. The Aedra willingly gave birth to world and beasts and all beings from parts of themselves. It was a very painful process, and afterwards the Aedra were no longer young and strong. Right, yeah. So essentially, Shezzer or Lorkhan or whoever, yeah, he convinced the gods to give up their life for the creation of everything. So they eventually all died because they were very weak in the end. Or they were very weakened ultimately because they were like, hell yeah, let's give birth to the entirety of everything. Some Aedra were disappointed and bitter at their loss, and angry with Shezzer and with all creation, for they felt Shezzer had lied and tricked them. These Aedra, the gods of the Aldmer, led by Ariel, were disgusted by their enfeebled selves and by what they had created. Everything is spoiled for now and for all time, and the most we can do is teach the elven races to suffer nobly, with dignity, and chastise ourselves for our folly, and avenge ourselves upon Shezzer and his allies. Thus all the gods of the elves, dark and brooding, and thus are the elves ever dissatisfied with mortality, and always proud and stoic, despite the harshness of this cruel and indifferent world. So basically some of the Aedra were like, well, we got tricked. Lorkhan forced us to give us our mortality, or our immortality, just so that we could create, like, stuff. Fuck that. I wanted my powers. I wanted my superpowers. I don't have them anymore. Wow. Great. I should not have listened to this guy. And that's where all the elves from. They're like, well, we could have been immortal, but then this dick had to come along and tell our ancestors not to be immortal and instead create existence. Like, fuck that guy. So yeah, the elves are never satisfied with mortality. They're very proud, despite the harshness of the cruel and indifferent world, because they are the children, the descendants of gods that were tricked out of being gods. So if you think about it, you can kind of see where the elves get their poshness from. They think they're too good for everything, and they resent the fact that they're not as good as they could be because of Lorkhan. Other Aedra looked upon creation and were well pleased. These Aedra, the gods of men and beast folk, led by Akatosh, praised and cherished their wards, the mortal races. We have suffered and are diminished for all time, but the mortal world we have made is glorious. filling our hearts and spirits with hope. Let us teach the mortal races to live well, to cherish beauty and honor, and to love one another as we love them. Thus are the gods of men tender and patient, and thus are men and beast folk great in heart and for joy or suffering, and ambitious for greater wisdom and a better world. So these are the optimistic Aedra, the ones that are like, wow, Lorkhan was right, creation is beautiful, we created something beautiful. We should teach all our children to see reality and existence as beautiful as we see it. So that's essentially the way humans and beast folk referring to the Khajiits and Argonians, they kind of see things a little bit more optimistically. Like, sure, we're not gods anymore or anything, but like, life is still beautiful, man. Just chill, enjoy it. It's great. Just life is a wonderful gift upon creation. And the elves are like, fuck life, dude. If the creation of life means I can't be a god anymore, then fuck it. I'm gonna pity myself for not being what I used to be. That's essentially the different ideologies between man and mer, summed up right fucking there. You know, humans and beast folk are all like, oh, life is awesome, and the elves are like, fuck are you on, man? Immortality and godhood was stolen from us. How are you happy? Yeah. Now, when the Daedra lords heard Shezar, they mocked him and the other Daedra. Cut parts of ourselves off and lose them forever? That's stupid. You'll be sorry. We are far smarter than you, for we will create a new world of ourselves. But we will not cut it off or let it mock us. But we will make this world within ourselves forever ours and under our complete control. So the Daedra are like, fuck those idiot Aedra. Who would actually cut parts of themselves off? Like, that just, you're depowering yourself there. Like, this is a stupid thing. Lorkhan, you're a silly guy. No. Why would we do that? So the Daedra were basically like, I mean, creating your own pocket version of yourself sounds fun and all, but I'm not going to cut it off from me. So, the Daedra lords created the Daedric realms, and all the ranks of lesser Daedra, great and small. And for the most part, the Daedra lords were well pleased with this arrangement, for they always had worshippers and servants and playthings close to hand. But at the same time, they sometimes looked with envy upon the mortal realms, for though mortals were foul and feeble and contemptible, their passions and ambitions were also more surprising and entertaining than the antics of the lesser Daedra. Thus do the Daedra lords court and seduce certain amusing specimens of the mortal races, especially the passionate and powerful. It gives the Daedra lords special pleasuring to steal away from Shezar and the Aedra, the greatest and most ambitious mortals. Not only are you fools for mutilating yourselves, gloat the Daedra lords, but you cannot even keep the best pieces which prefer the glory and power of the Daedra lords. to the feeble vulgarity of the mush-minded Aedra. So, yeah, the Daedra Lords created the realms of Oblivion, the Daedric realms, and created all the Lesser Daedra. And the Daedra Lords were happy enough that, oh yes, we have all these beings that we created worshiping us. Oh, this feels great. It's like home. I can wipe my feet off on the welcome mat and kick back here and tell people to do what I want. But that mortal realm, it's kind of sexy, isn't it? I mean, it's not mine. I'm not willing to give up any... I'm not willing to give all this up for the mortal realm. Come on, why would I do that? But it's kinda hot. Tell you what, I'm gonna take a souvenir. You know, all these ideas that are going on over there, everyone over here is so much more creative and ambitious than the people that I come up with. So what if I look for the most ambitious? The most ambitious mortals from the mortal realm. That would be a fun souvenir, and it would rub it in the face of Shezar and just all the Aedra that a being of their creation has decided to come to my side. This is why the Daedra Lords like to play around with the PC in Elder Scrolls games. It's because you're their plaything. You are their plaything and their treasure and their souvenir. You know, they traveled to the mortal realm and were like, well, here's a mortal and I wouldn't mind having it in my collection. So they collected you and used that to rub in the face of Lorkhan and all the rest of the Aedra. So Altmeri, the heart of the world. Anu encompassed and encompasses all things. So that he might know himself, he created Anuiel, his soul and the soul of all things. Anuiel, as all souls, was given to self-reflection, and for this he needed to differentiate between his forms and attributes and intellects. Thus was born Sithis, whom was the sum of all the limitations Anuiel would utilize to ponder himself. Anuiel was the soul of all things, therefore became many things, and this interplay was and is the Arbus. So basically, Anu is all of entirety, and he wanted to know himself better, so he created Anuiel, and Anuiel wanted to know himself better, so he created Sithis. Or rather, he created the thing that would become Sithis. It's essentially all of his chaotic existence so that he can reflect upon it. So, Anuiel's self-reflecting upon himself within Sithis is what Arbus is. At first, the Arbus was turbulent and confusing as Anuiel's ruminations went on without design. Aspects of the Arbus then asked for a schedule to follow or procedures whereby they might enjoy themselves a little longer outside of perfect knowledge. So that he might know himself this way too, Anu created Ariel, the soul of his soul. Ariel bled through the Arbus as a new force called time. With this, various aspects of the Arbus began to understand their natures and limitations. They took names like Magnus or Mara or Zen. One of these, Lorkhan, was more of a limit than a nature, so he could never last long anywhere. Alright, we're going to stop it there, reflect on what we just read. So in the beginning, everything was basically chaos, you know, ideas being manifested but really scrapped before they could take hold. And then so Arbus, Anu created Anuiel, Anuiel created Sithis, Anuiel and Sithis created Arbus, and Arbus created Ariel. I know that's a very confusing family tree. Essentially, Ariel is a direct descendant from Anu. Anu created Ariel, the elven god of time, or like the elven god of the original gods. Ariel, or rather, Ariel bled through the Arbus as a new force called time. So Ariel, without Ariel, time would not exist. And because time existed, things began to understand the natures and limitations. Lorkhan was a limitation, he was not a nature. As he entered every aspect of Anuiel, Lorkhan would plant an idea that was almost wholly based on limitation. He outlined a plan to create the soul for the Arbus, a place where the aspects might even be allowed to self-reflect. Excuse me. He gained many followers. Even Anuiel, when told he would become the king of the new world, agreed to help Lorkhan. So they created the Mundus, where their own aspects might live, and became the Adada. So what the fuck did I just read? Well, so Lorkhan was kind of all about this self-reflection stuff, and he kind of, sorry, I've got gummy worms here that I still have not finished from, remember when I got these gummy worms? That was like a couple weeks ago. They're still not gone. Basically, Lorkhan is all about the self-reflection stuff, and so he's like, well, I want everyone to be able to self-reflect. So I think all beings should be able to self-reflect, just as Ariel was able to self-reflect and stuff like that. So, you know, he went around all over the place, planted ideas. And Ariel himself believed Lorkhan and wanted to help him out. So they created Mundus, where their own aspects might live, and became the Adada. But this was a trick. Hang on, let me gummy worm here real quick. Gummy worms are good. But this was a trick. As Lorkhan knew, this world contained more limitations than not, and was therefore hardly a thing of Anu at all. Mundus was the house of Sithis. As their aspects began to die off, many of the Adada vanished completely. Some escaped, like Magnus, and that is why there are no limitations to magic. Others, like Yfre, transformed themselves into the Elnophe, the Earth Bones, so that the whole world might not die. Some had to marry and make children just to last. Each generation was weaker than the last, and soon there were Aldmer. Darkness caved in. Lorkhan made armies out of the weakest souls and named them men. And they brought Sithis into every quarter. So basically, Mundus has way too many limitations. It's clearly a fabrication. It's not a real part of Anu. So when the Atata started dying, because Mundus had limitations, some ran away and escaped and were able to, be out into the universe, such as Magnus. Y'all know the Eye of Magnus? That's this guy's eye. Not necessarily literally speaking, but essentially it's connected to a god, the god of magic. And because he was able to escape, there's no limitation on magic. But Y'ffre was one that became the Elnofey, which is essentially, the lifeblood of the entire world. And some married off and, after many generations, grew weaker and weaker until they became Aldmer. And then the weakest souls Lorkhan kind of gathered up and called those men. Ariel pleaded with Anu to take them back, but he had already filled their places with something else. But his soul was gentler and granted Ariel his bow and shield, so that he might save the Aldmer from the hordes of men. Some had already fallen, like the Chimer, who listened to tainted Atata, and others, like the Bosmer, had soiled Time's line by taking mannish wives. Alright, we'll get to that. So, basically, Ariel was like, come on, Anu, please take us back. And, Anu's like, no, sorry, bud, you decided to leave, so I just kind of hired new staff. So Ariel was like, well, fuck. And Anu's like, whatever, I'll give you a fighting chance. So he gave Ariel a bow and shield, both of which you can use in this very game. Ariel's shield and Ariel's bow are both pretty powerful artifacts. So that Ariel could fight for the Aldmer and protect them from men. So, Aldmer and men were fighting each other. The Chimer... So the Chimer were... They eventually became the Dunmer, the Dark Elves. They listened to Tainted Atata, and others like the Bosmer, the Wood Elves, soiled Time's line by taking mannish wives. So they kind of polluted the bloodline by marrying into men and were able to... Well, they basically downgraded themselves even further. Ariel could not save Atmora Altmora. Ariel could not save Altmora, the Elder would, and it was lost to men. They were chased south and east to Old Elnofey, and Lorkhan was close behind. He shattered that land into many. Finally, Trinimac, Ariel's greatest knight, knocked Lorkhan down in front of his army and reached in with more than hands to take his heart. He was undone. The men dragged Lorkhan's body away and swore blood and vengeance on all the heirs of Ariel for all time. So ultimately, Lorkhan was slain. The army of men fighting for Lorkhan kind of swarmed everything, but Trinimac, Ariel's great knight, was able to slay Lorkhan and tore out his heart. The humans that were fighting for Lorkhan kind of dragged off his body, and they were like, we swear eternal vengeance on Ariel's descendants. So hence, humans, men, will always want to destroy elves. This is, by the way, according to Elvish, this is the Elvish perspective of creation myth. It's not literally saying that's what is eternity. Anyway, but when Trinimac and Ariel tried to destroy the heart of Lorkhan, it laughed at them. It said, "This heart is the heart of the world, for one was made to satisfy the other." So Ariel fastened the thing to an arrow and let it fly long into the sea, where no aspect of the new world may ever find it. So yeah, they thought they could kill Lorkhan, but Lorkhan's heart is like, if you destroy me, you destroy all of this world, because this entire world was created for me. If you think about it, Lorkhan is kind of the Daedric lord that rules over Mundus, in a way. So yeah, Ariel shot Lorkhan's heart off of an arrow using Ariel's bow, and shot it away so that no one can ever find it. And that's it. That's the Monomyth. It's a very long read. Not as long as I made it, because I kind of stopped after every single individual paragraph. But it's fascinating. Yep, that's it. That's the end of the Monomyth. It's a very fascinating read, as you can tell. I almost slept to it. That's totally fine too. I personally find it fascinating, but also I know my voice is on the soothing side, and it's yeah, totally I get it. But yeah, the Monomyth. There's some very interesting, Elder Scrolls lore is so detailed and well thought out and contradictory. The Monomyth is just one tiny little sliver of that, but it goes very in depth into one of those slivers, which is, we've got Anu and Padme, and from Anu and Padme comes everything, and from everything comes the dragon god, which is time, who creates such a scenario that everything else can exist, and the missing god, Lorkhan, the one who left kind of on his own accord, but also he maybe wanted to come back, but he wasn't allowed back. He created Mundus, and in Mundus, he kind of, he really tricked the Aldmer, the Aldmer, not the Aldmer, the Aedra. He tricked the Aedra to create Mundus. The Daedra were all like, no. I'll just stick in my own realm of oblivion. And then we've got, inside of Mundus, we've got the Aedra, who are slowly losing all this power that they used to create Mundus. And they kind of descend into elves and humans and chaos for all eternity. There's tidbits of all those 3 pieces of Lorkhan lore that we read. We read the Cyrodiilic version, the Aldmeri version, and the Yakudin version. Those are 3 very different versions, and I think the Yakudin version is probably the most different, but it still holds a lot of what the other 2 versions are saying. Essentially, no one can agree on the details, but they can all agree that Lorkhan, or whoever you name him, was the creator of Nirn. And with that, book club is adjourned. And I think that's a good place to call it too. Thank you all for staying for the Monomyth book club. That was whoa. Alright, so oh come on, let me tab out. Alright. I've got a few closing statements for any of you that are still here. I've got 2 major announcements. Well, one's kind of major and one's not major at all. The one that's not major at all, you can see right here. I have a logo now. Isn't it cute? It's pretty cool. I like this logo. Haru Haze. You can see in the katakana up top, Haru Haze. And it's my favorite colors. So let's put that back. Other thing to point out. Okay, so yeah. Then we have another announcement, which is related to the story I told at the beginning of why I'm currently high and will most likely be for a lot of my solo streams from here on out, or at least for the next couple of weeks, is this. I have finally heard back. I know I've brought this up before, but this is an actual confirmation that this is happening and that I will be doing this. I have a job. Up until recently, I have been, well, even now, technically, I'm unemployed. But I applied for a job. It's like a teaching position, essentially, that is in Japan. And they finally gave me a departure date for when I'm truly leaving for this job. I still need to do all this documentation stuff. That's entirely on me. But essentially, this job is happening. I leave October 2nd. which is a little bit less than 2 months away. That's coming up. You want a random expression? Let me randomize an expression for you. So, but yes, October 2nd, I will be leaving for a new job. Let's see, so that's even, and, ooh, you're getting the Angie expression. But yeah, I'm leaving for my new job October 2nd. This means two things related to streaming. Number one, I will be on the other side of the world. Like 14-hour difference, I think. It's a big difference in time zone wise. Number two, it means less time for streaming. I will still try to stream. It will be on a different PC. I'm not bringing this big hunky PC with me. It'll be on my laptop. So the types of games I'll be able to stream will probably change. I'm also not entirely sure how much free time I'll have for streaming. So there's a high likelihood that I won't be able to stream as often as I currently can, minus the 2-week hiatus I just took. So that is a little bit of sad news. The good news, though, is I will be earning money, and I will be living in Japan and essentially getting paid for it. The actual details of the job aren't that important. It's a teaching position where you teach English, and you're not even really a full teacher, you're an assistant teacher. The main point is I get to live in Japan, I will be earning money there, and I will still do my best to keep streaming, but we'll have to see. I may have to stop. Probably not altogether, but definitely I'll have to do it less than I currently do because I won't have as much free time as I currently do. But with all that said, thank you all so much for coming out and sticking around, and maybe half of you fell asleep during that whole book club lore thing where I was talking about, the Monomyth. So let's find ourselves someone to raid. Aw, Cody! Sorry you got here at the end, friend. But thank you for stopping by. It does mean a lot. But yeah, let us find someone to raid. I really cannot decide. I'm gonna decide between 4 different people. There's Yasho, who is getting stuff ready for his debut. Well, he's playing Pokemon Unite, but his debut is coming up. Aya, who is currently one of our 2 VTubers of the week. She is playing Super Animal Royale. Then there's Andy, Snowbound Saf, who is playing Genshin Impact. Good friend of Gage, Gigi, who was here in chat earlier. And Jasper, who is a good friend and playing Dragon Quest XI. So I don't know which of those 4 I want to pick. Let's randomize it, shall we? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Reroll 5 or 6. 3! Looks like we are going to raid Andy. So let me just wait for this ad to finish, just so I can make sure they're still streaming and not about to wrap up. Thank you all for stopping by. Here's a reminder. Right here is my raid message. Y'all can copy and paste it when we get there, or just type it in yourself. If you are subbed to me, you can go you can go ahead and type in Haru Hugs with my with that emote right there. If not, doesn't really matter. And you're not required to type in the raid message. But send our love to Andy. Tell them that we love them. And, yeah. Tomorrow, I will be streaming, Crusader Kings 3. Hopefully the game doesn't crash. And also, go check out my Discord that I run with a few friends. Go click on that. Follow the rules. Be a good person, but we would love to have you. Alright? I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Why is Lisa in the game? True!
The only, like, interactions I've really liked of Lisa's are